Good evening. Welcome to Live United. Today I have with me Deborah Vaughn from Monadnock Community Early Learning Center. But before we jump to Deborah, I just want to say that over the last few weeks we've been doing a lot around early childhood, and Deb is really joining us to speak to some of the local initiative that's happening here. And I'm pleased to welcome you, Deb, to the show.
Thank you, Kelly.
You know, you're one of our partners here at the United Way, and we're always so proud of our partners and pleased to have you here with us. We've been talking over the last few weeks a lot about thriving families and children, early childhood, and you happen to run a local center here in the Monadnock region that's addressing that need. Tell us a little bit about the center and some of the new initiatives that you have going on to really bring not only attention to the issue, but to really meet the needs of our parents and families.
Well, we're very pleased to have several things going on right now. Our center, to begin with, has been around for 44 years, so we're really part of the Monadnock region in the Peterborough area, but truly we serve really the whole Monadnock region because often people work over there in that area. We have some factories and we have some businesses that employ people from different towns in the region, and we're very fortunate to be able to have 6-week-old babies right through before and after school children. Both Jaffrey and Ringe buses drop off students to us. So we're very pleased to have a big age range, which means we can have a lot of families together, which makes it very important for people in the area. I mean, they make one stop in the evening and they know their children have had fun and had an enjoyable day, and we're learning as part of, you know, children do as early childhood pieces, and we have 7 classrooms, so we really have a lot of space and a big outdoor play area to really have children involved in playing.
So when you say, you know, families can be a one-stop, you're really talking about you could have an infant up to a child who's, I believe, in school and can come after school hours, which on our last show, one of the critical needs identified was that oftentimes children may not have a place to go right after school, or they're part of the school system that may end at half-day if they're a kindergartner. So you're serving the needs of, you know, really our infants all the way through to some school-age children.
We're fortunate that both in this past year, Monadnock and Jaffrey have gone to full-day kindergartens, but we certainly had children from those school districts that came half-days. So we really were there, depending on when the school was, you know, their school district let out, whether it was full-day kindergarten or half. So in the summertime, we're a year-round program, but we are going to do more of a camp theme this summer. Every summer we have a different kind of flair to our program, so the kids don't feel that, you know, they're just in a classroom. Now we're outside, really in good weather, having fun, playing, just having a good time. We're doing a camp theme this summer, and it's going to be, you know, exciting to see the kids do different camp activities from really the little ones right up to the school age. My understanding was this morning was our very first day, and I'm here, but at the center they were actually doing like a camp sign-in, and they were going to start it off with a morning meeting of just getting together. So we really do try and support, you know, the kids and just give them different experiences. A lot of kids don't go to camp, so this is a way to keep them, you know, involved with things that, you know, they can say, hey, I did go to camp. You know, my program turned into a whole camp theme, and we had fun. Last week we had our preschool graduation, so we had the little ones in caps and gowns, and we had them graduating. We had parents over, and the parents enjoyed, you know, that piece too. So we really try to involve the parents and make sure that we make it, you know, something that children and families can take with them as they go on in their education and in their work environment.
So let's talk a little bit about, you're offering this enriching camp program over the summer, but day to day, during the school year, there's lots of things you're doing to make sure that not only are our children safe, but that they are on a strong developmental path for the future. And I know that you're doing some assessment, you're really looking at providing a curriculum, a program that is nurturing, both the family and and the young person. So let's talk a little bit about the assessments that you're doing and the type of programming you're offering.
We do an assessment. We also do, we're also part of Strengthening Families, and we're also a Licensed Plus Center. So we go above and beyond what the state does require. So we're very fortunate that we have pieces in place that help us with Strengthening Families is a piece that, you know, when families need, you know, help or support, we can do that too. So we can support the whole family. And during the school year, the assessments are run so the teacher and the parents have a chance to really, you know, have a say in the assessment. And they talk together about the children and how a child in a family is doing and what they see, and if there's, you know, a reason that services might have to be called, or if a parent, you know, has questions, who we can contact and who they could contact, and we can put those pieces and help them put those pieces together. So, you know, it's really a center that we try to provide support in many family ways. As far as families in the center, we're very fortunate too, because our families can come, they can be on state assistance with the state. We have a sliding fee scale to help parents who, you know, make a certain income but can't pay the top rate, so we help them with that. And then we have a top rate. So we really try to make sure we can encompass many, many families. We're licensed for 87 children, and we truly get close to maxing out at that, you know, most of the year. So we're very fortunate. In our infant room, we were able to take 8 months old for a few years, but we really saw a need to take 6-week-old. And people, you know, that had real little ones, the mom needed to get back to work. So we really looked at that piece, and we actually made a change in February to go back to taking 6-week-olds, and we've also made a change that a lot of centers we, you know, had to really think about. We took part-time and full-time, because not all the time mothers don't want to go back or can't go back full-time. So we're fortunate to do that too.
So really looking at what the needs are out there in the community and thinking about how you can address them. And I know you have some incredible collaborations as part of that. I believe you're using the Ages and Stages questionnaire to look at the developmental needs. That we use, So you do this assessment, and then you collaborate with partners. If you're seeing something unique to that individual and their family, you're able to bring in other resources. What would be an example of something that you might see, and then you'd say, well, you know, we need to call in Monadnock Family Services or Monadnock Developmental Services?
Well, as I was saying before, if there is a need, the parent may come, or the teacher may say something to a parent, or it might be a case where, you know, the child just something doesn't seem, you know, the parent sees some issues outside of the school day, outside of, you know, the center, and talks to the teacher about it, and we will, you know, see if we can, you know, find the right services that they can contact and call in, you know, Monadnock Family Services, the RISE program, to see the local school districts, to see if we can start, you know, to bridge with them, to connect with them, and have the parents, you know, feel more comfortable that, you know, their needs are being met and the child is really getting the services that they need.
So I'm going to have Dave roll a video that we shared last week's show that really talks around early childhood and education being part of the foundation of building a strong New Hampshire, strong Granite State. But before I do that, I'd love you to respond to what are you trying to address when you are wanting to make sure our children are well-rounded? Is it emotional? Is it social? Is it academic? And I think lots of times people look at child care centers in particular, and they think of it as a babysitting service, and it's so much more than that. We'll roll the film, and then I'm going to ask you to come back to that question.
We are the Granite State. We've long relied on our ingenuity and independent thinking to get us through tough times. And we need to harness that ingenuity to find creative solutions to the challenges that confront us now. One of our biggest challenges is that our children face a future very different from past generations, and they are relying on us to prepare them for that future. The good news is we know what to do. Science tells us that the early years of life serve as the foundation for all future health and learning, and we know that you can't build anything sturdy on a shaky foundation. That's why when we provide children with supportive environments today, we are also building a healthy, educated workforce and citizenry for tomorrow. That means working together to put our most innovative ideas and best materials to work for our children, who will one day live in, work in, and lead our state, and are the real bedrock of the Granite State. Care to join us in shaping the future of New Hampshire? To find out what you can do, connect with Spark New Hampshire by visiting our website and seeing our action steps.
You know, you're part of Spark New Hampshire, but you're our local. You're really a local representative. And when I think about what they're saying in that video, the health, the innovation, you know, strong foundation, and I mentioned that oftentimes people think of child care centers as a babysitting service. And I asked you to think about how you're more than that to the Monadnock region and community.
One thing that people don't often realize is that a center like ours, we're open from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we have a long span of time that children can be with us. And if you work 8 hours and you're, you know, driving half an hour to or from us or more to get the children, you're talking possibly 9+ hours of the children being with us, and that's a big part of a child's day. I mean, you figure you go home and you have dinner, maybe, you know, there's a bath, bedtime story, and bed. So we're really a good part of, you know, who the children see during the day. It's our staff, it's the teachers, it's, you know, people that are at our center. So we really are more than a babysitting service. You know, that's the social emotional piece is a big part of a child, and especially a young child's development. I mean, they're with us, you know, for the potty training years, for the, you know, talking when they first start to talk years, with all those pieces that, you know, people don't realize that, you know, we're there to help these children, help these families, you know, with those pieces of that child's life. And it's a big part of, you know, who we are and what we do, and, you know, social emotional, then leads to academic, then leads to, you know, school as far as going off. And so we're really the foundation of those early learning years, especially if they're with us from 6 weeks old right through 2nd grade, before and after school at our program. And we've been very fortunate to be able to, you know, as far as the work piece goes, collaborate with different Monadnock United Way agency sponsors or program partners in the area. But we've also been able to partner with Conval High School, who has a early childhood program, and they have actually been working by sending students to us the last couple of years, and we do a mentoring program with their students, and we've been very fortunate. We've had 3 come back, 3 of the students that have graduated come back this summer and would like to work with us in our child care program, so before they go off to college. And hopefully they're looking, you know, for early childhood. At least 2 out of the 3 I know are looking for early childhood professions. So we're very proud to make that connection in the area. And, you know, it's we consider that quite an honor to have these, you know, men and women want to come back and work in our center, you know, and really continue to help the people in the region, people that they grew up with and probably know as, you know, their neighbors.
You know, it's interesting because we don't want to diminish the role of the parent, obviously, in raising our children,
at all.
Or grandparents or neighbors, because they're all a critical part of it. But it requires all of us. We were speaking previously on the show about really a collective approach to this, and it requires you working with the schools and engaging young people in the profession, and working with parents in strengthening families, providing these assessments, connecting them to the resources out in the community. It really is a web structure that we have to create as part of this foundation for our young people. And you're a critical part of that. Now, one of the things that people always want to make sure, I'm sure, is my child having some fun while they're there. So let's talk about fun a little bit, because we don't oftentimes talk about it. We talk about the seriousness of taking care of our children. But when you think about the development of the brain and the brain structure and that socialization, fun is critical.
Yeah, and a child's work is their play. I mean, that's really how they learn. And we do themes throughout the year, whether it's winter, summer, spring, fall, and our classes come together for a morning meeting once a week. We do a music program in-house throughout the year, so they learn, similar songs so we can all sing together. And as far as our themes go, sometimes we do Author of the Month, so we read all like Eric Carle books, and all the projects and all the activities, center around some of the pieces in those books. So, they're learning through ways that are real, and they're having fun doing it, and they're also, being able to take those pieces home. And you're talking about parents, when they're busy and they're active and they're having fun and they're learning, those are pieces parents can talk about when they go home. What did you do today? And they have lots to tell them. Or, you read that book, in school, tell me what you know about that book if it's a bedtime story that they're looking at reading to their child. So we try and, really make sure that what we do in school is, developmentally appropriate. And it's also a piece that's, they're having fun with and can, use and build on as they grow. Again, it's that foundation, that bedrock of their world that we're really trying to help them develop in connection with the parents' role the parents, grandparents have a huge role. We're beginning to see over the past several years, more grandparents having, taking care of their children in some way, either part-time or full-time during the child's life. So it's really important that what we do really connects with who the caretaker is, for the child.
It is critical, and it's also part of when we think about, how we connect everyone, making sure that whether you're a parent or that neighbor or a concerned citizen, that you're really invited into that process. I know you have volunteer opportunities there. What are ways people can really be involved with the center?
Some of the ways that, we would love to have support is materials, if people would like to donate materials as far as paper and just, craft supplies that the kids use. We're always looking for things like paper towel rolls, all those pieces that, you say, what do I do with, please? We'd love to have those pieces so, we can do the activities that we'd like to do, with all the kids. It takes a lot. We have 87, children, so that's a lot of supplies. So that's some of the pieces. We do a day of caring through Monadnock United Way, but we've also started to look at doing that, other times during the year too. So, if you're interested in helping to volunteer to do some work around the center, whether it's, raking the lawn or painting a classroom, we would love to have, people volunteer in those ways to help us do that.
And we're actually doing Day of Caring a little bit different this year. And it hasn't even been announced to all of our partners yet. So I'll announce it here to you, Deb. You get the first view of this.
Thank you.
We're actually partnering with RSVP on September 11th. And the Day of Caring will not focus on the nonprofits, because we're hoping to develop that on a more year-round basis. Really engaging people in volunteering with the nonprofits. We'll be actually servicing families and children on that day. So it may be perhaps some of your families that will have an interest in people coming out and volunteering on September 11th.
That would be very
So it will be a focus on families and children this year, with a more consistent volunteer opportunities with our nonprofits in the region. So a little bit of shift, but we're hoping to see some results and engage more people in that volunteer kind of work. So that'll be September 11th. I'll be announcing that as we go further along with this. We have lots of interesting events coming up. We have on October 14th a whole forum for the business community on engaging and building our future workforce. And that'll be at Keene State College. Any of these people can contact the United Way for more information. But you have volunteer opportunities on a regular basis, I know. You're involved with Spark New Hampshire on really trying to be involved in building this foundation and this bedrock in the community. What are some of the results that you feel like we're seeing as a result of the work you do, as the result of the work some of your partners may be doing?
Well, one of the things I do want to say is that, you know, a lot of the towns, you know, are looking to see how can we keep the workforce here? How can we, you know, have more families come in? How can we, you know, build all those pieces community-wise too? And one thing to keep in mind is when people move into an area, oftentimes they look at a school, you know, where is my child going to school? And they mean kindergarten up. One thing we really want to emphasize is our service is something that people don't always think about. And then they move in and they say, oh,
oh my goodness.
What happens now? They're not in school, they're young.
Right.
The parents have taken a job or moved to the area to find employment. And really, as communities think about, you know, how they're working, it's one thing I really would like them to think about is you know, what our service is about. Because, again, we're the foundation for those families, and, you know, being able to take children, you know, from 6-week-old to, you know, when they start school or even before and after school, you know, is a big piece that, you know, we'd really like to let communities know that we'd like to be involved when they start putting those pieces together. You know, that's a service that a lot of families need. And
that's really a critical message, and what a great message when we think about what makes us different, what makes living in the Monadnock region a little bit different. And one of our unique abilities is to provide this care before a child enters the school system. And I think you're right, probably a lot of parents don't even think about that as they're relocating.
I can say that because we get phone calls, you know, who's in the area, you know, what do you offer? And it's just so nice to be able to tell them that we do offer a lot, and we can really, you know, be there to meet a lot of their needs.
So people love to hear stories, you know, success stories. Something that's happened, maybe a child that you've seen come through or a family that you've served somehow. Do you have a story you can share with us?
We have many stories, but there's one in particular that really has struck all our hearts over at our center. We had a man who, just unfortunate circumstances, needed to be the full-time caretaker of his grandchild, his little granddaughter. And he really didn't know where to turn because he hadn't had young children for several years himself. And he called us up, and he came in, and he said, you know, please help. And we set him up with state assistance. He does have to work. He wasn't able to retire fully, you know, taking this child in. He still, you know, had to support himself and the child. And he's been, he came right back after, you know, our initial information went home with him, and he said, I'd love to do this, you know, is there room? And we said yes, and he started in our program. And he has really been, it's been a nice, he's been supporting us, and we've been supporting him. He, you know, if he has extra, you were talking about volunteer or just doing pieces of that. I mean, if he has extra pens and pencils at home that he's come across, he gives them to us. So he's really thankful for what he's, you know, what we've been able to do, but we're very thankful for, you know, him being so supportive in us, not just, you know, in a financial way to help us and help his daughter, but also in, you know, donating those supplies and being there and volunteering. You know, if we've asked him to do something, he's more than willing. So yeah, and to see, you know, him really going around for a second time with a young child is really been an honor to be able to help him.
You know, that reciprocal relationship is a funny one, because oftentimes we think when we're paying for service we should be getting that service, and lots of times when we give back to that service, it not only enriches our own lives, but those of all the people around us, and which I think you're really speaking to that you know, he may not realize even the value he's bringing to your organization and the work that you do for others. And I'm sure he feels, you know, like he's getting the support he needs to be a parent and grandparent at this point in his life. So it's always nice to hear stories like that. If people wanted to, I know you have a wait list, I believe, on your infant program.
Yes.
But if people did want to get on the wait list, or if they want to enroll for any of the summer programming that you have going on, how do they go about doing that?
They can call us at the center. It's Monadnock Community Early Learning Center at 603-532-6021. We're also, our email is info, I-N-F-O, at mcelc.org. You can find us on Facebook under Monadnock Community Early Learning Center. So we certainly, we have different ways that we can be contacted, and we certainly would love to take your information and show you the center and help you, through the process. And when we have openings, make sure that we contact you back and let you know.
Now, do you have any openings for the summer?
No, we are really full for the summer. So we're really starting to look again is people, as I said before, people moving into the area. Now we're starting to look and make sure, because most people stay with us year round, but oftentimes through transitions of moving and just, changing, housing situations, we do have, some openings in the fall, and that's what we're looking, to fill in now with. But again, some of those classrooms are on the waiting list, especially the younger ones.
So I would encourage people now to reach out to you,
Yes,
not
definitely.
wait until August or
Yeah,
September
that gets
when
hard.
you're
That gets really
feeling
hard.
a little bit more
Yeah.
desperate.
Yeah.
And I know you work with a lot of the other child care organizations in the region, so I'm guessing you can certainly help people connect to those other organizations.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
One of the neat things I've been seeing you involved in, and several of the other partners that the United Way works with, is bringing together different organizations to really support our children. So not seeing early child care as a separate issue from transportation, because the transportation's required to get them there oftentimes.
That's right.
Or mental health services, or perhaps that it's interesting when you think about adult care, that lots of times we have extended families now living together, and you need that spectrum of care. So really bringing those together in a powerful way. And I know you're doing that around parenting programs and connecting those with the work that you do. The early home supports up on your side of on the eastern side of the mountain. We've certainly got some wonderful early home support programs going on for prenatal care. And I know you're connected to all of them. Why?
Because again, it's serving the whole family. It's serving the whole structure of, that family support, whether it's grandparents, parents, aunt, uncle, and the child. And the child is always the center of it. We're very fortunate we have the River Center, which is another agency that really does support with programs for children, for parents, and they do other programs such as help with finding a job, or help with writing a resume, and all those pieces that some parents suddenly find that they need to do and have available to them. So, or do their taxes, just pieces that they need. We also have transportation, CVTC, Kentucky Valley Transportation is in our area, and they too, are a service that we can connect with when families need or have issues with transportation. We have just so many resources in our area.
And it's great to see, and I think for the public to hear, that these organizations truly are coming together to think about how do we serve that central piece, those children, their families, and their extended families, and thusly all of our citizens, because if we have healthy individuals, they become our future citizens. So critical, the work you're doing. So there's some volunteer opportunities, some donation opportunities. If people can't afford to give, they could certainly give time. But they could also give, it sounds like, things like magazines and I love hearing the paper towel rolls and the toilet paper rolls, because when I think about how many we accumulate over, you know, the course of a year, if we could just sort of throw them in a recycling bin and then bring them to you.
We actually did a whole part of our summer camp program. Each teacher was given a milk jug. Now that's another thing people have tons of, plastic milk jugs, and we made all our animals for the camp out of milk jugs. So we have porcupines with pencils, we have raccoons with masks, and they're all made out of so yes, we're very grateful for pieces of, you know, what people say, what am I going to do with it? Yes, think of child care centers, because oftentimes they can use the supplies.
So is that something people can call you and just say, I have 20 milk bottles and I want to drop them off?
That's fine, or just come to our door and drop them off.
Wow, I guess I will limit my recycling from now on, and because I would much rather see it being reused
and it gives kids the opportunity to see that you can reuse those pieces, and you know, it's an inexpensive, you know, activity and toy that the children could even do at home. You know, if parents can't afford to buy a lot of supplies, you know, you've had a gallon of milk at home and you've finished it up, and here you go, what can you do with it, you know?
Oh, it sounds like fun. I think I want to go to camp for the summer. I don't know.
So we keep the learning piece going throughout.
Well, I would think that's the other thing in volunteering.
Yeah.
You know, everybody loves to play, and just having that opportunity to be around children and spend time with them, it's so enriching for you as an individual too. It's just so, it's not only fun, and we get to play, but it's also just, it's rewarding. It's incredibly powerful when a young person really attaches to you, and they do. They hang right onto your leg.
They do.
It's a wonderful feeling. So, you know, I would encourage our audience to certainly get involved with you. Again, if they wanted to either access services, and I know you have tuition assistance for folks.
And that's what Monadnock United Way helps to service.
And we're appreciative of our donors who support that kind of tuition assistance for our families who are in need. You have that opportunity. You have people can come out and they can read. If it's a one-time thing, even they can come out and read. I'm guessing that you would love to get books.
Yes, books are always, we love to have books. So if you have books that, you know, your kids have outgrown, think of us too. That would be, you know, something we always can use.
And I know that can be hard to part with because we're going through this right now. My daughter's reached the age of 20, and we're right at that point of, do we get rid of all the Eric Carle and the Dr. Seuss books, or does she keep them for her children? And it was a funny conversation. And the Eric Carle we're having a very hard time with because we loved. That was probably her favorite books, and so we even still go to the museum and here, look at our age now. So, you know, people can think about really, again, repurposing these things and knowing that they're going somewhere and making a difference in someone else's life. Advocacy-wise, what are the needs for childcare? You mentioned people really talking about the value of it when people are relocating into the Monadnock region. And I think that's an important message for all of us to carry. What other messages should we be putting out there?
It would be nice to, you know, really have people understand that, you know, being on a board, if you can be on a nonprofit board, that's a really important piece. And we have, you know, we have fun, we have activities, but we also need people that can come and be our spokesperson in different ways in the community. And it would be nice, you know, to have those people, you know. So if you have any thoughts, you know, of ever joining a board or want information of joining a board, calling a nonprofit, and if you think you have, you know, talents or benefits that, you know, can help the center, it is something. It's an important piece, and it's the hard piece too, because the children are our center, but we also need teachers, and then we need staff. But on the outside of that, we need board members who, you know, can really take our message to the local businesses, to, you know, the local communities, and just really that's a way to advocate for us and what we're about. So.
Now, is your board a working board, or is it an advisory board?
We, in the past, have really been a working board. There have been fundraisers. They usually do board fundraisers. A lot of the board members had been involved in, local organizations and, have really spoken at those organizations about the center. We have some connections that we still really have with some of the service agencies in the region, and they've been very supportive of us. And so, but we'd always like more. I mean, it's important to keep our message out there, and that's one of the best ways we can do it, especially on an adult level, of what's going on and what we're about. Because oftentimes board members don't have little kids, so people say, well, what's your connection? But if you realize how important a service like ours is to really, keep those communities going and prosper.
Well, it really gets back to, we all have a responsibility for building that strong foundation,
That's
whether
true.
it's our children or someone else's children. And it doesn't mean we have to have our own parenting skills. Oftentimes we may bring other value to the work, and a board is a great way of bringing value, not only to the organization but ultimately to those individuals and those families. So, super opportunity. People can reach directly to you. Want to remind folks that you can also call 211 if you ever have questions about how to connect with a child care center. If you are relocating to the Monadnock region and looking for information on services, you can call 211. You can call the Monadnock Community Early Learning Center directly or go to their website. You can also contact the Monadnock United Way, and we'll help direct you to those different resources out there. And ServiceLink here in the Monadnock region, incredibly valuable resource who will again make sure that you are well connected out there. So we're so fortunate. We have great programs like yours here in the Monadnock region, serving our children, our families, our citizens. Any last thoughts that you want to share with the public?
Childcare is really important. It really is the bedrock. Spark New Hampshire is working towards that. Impact Monadnock has seen that. It's really an important piece. It's important for the children and the families. It's important for New Hampshire to be able to keep prospering and growing. So I would really say, if you really, want to see what's going on in your community and what the little ones are doing, give us a call, and we'd love to give a tour. We'd love to talk to you about our center. Even if you don't have children and you just want to know what's going on, please give us a call and let us know that you'd like to come by and see.
So a great opportunity to put your hands to good use, folks, whether it's through volunteering, donating goods or service, or donating financially also. It takes money to provide tuition assistance to the families in need. And advocate. If you are new to the Monadnock region, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your legislators. I think that's one of the powerful messages that we're trying to put out there right now through Impact Monadnock and Spark New Hampshire, is talk to your legislators. Tell them what the needs are in relation to our children. And it's not about babysitting. It's about developing healthy young people for the future. Deb, I want to thank you for joining us. Again, people can reach out to you through Monadnock Community Early Learning Center. I want to thank you, public, for joining us, and I invite you to remember to give, to volunteer, advocate. Thanks for joining us.